Hi guys, it's Ty and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a booktube staple, and that is a mid-year freakout tag. And so this is probably like the third time that I've done it so far on my channel. I'm really excited to do this. I love this tag, but I know throughout the years the questions have changed up a little bit. They've been remixed a little bit because this tag has been around for a while. So if you don't know anything about the mid-year freakout tag, it's just a few questions to answer to tell everyone how your reading year has gone so far. And first, let me just tell you guys about my reading year so far. It has not been great. I have not given out a lot of 5 stars. I have not had a lot of standout books, but I did tell myself at the beginning of this year that I was going to kind of reserve my 5 stars for really books that I feel like deserve a 5 star. I think over the years, I have been pretty lax with what I give a 5 star. If it made me feel a certain emotion, I just felt like I automatically gave it a 5 star. But this year is the first time that I've been really sitting on these books that I feel might deserve a 5 star. I have really been trying to be a lot more cautious of how I truly feel about a book. And so far this year, I've also been DNFing a lot of books. A lot of these books have just not been holding my attention like I want them to. But also, I've had a lot of things happen in my personal life this year that has really been stressing me out. So I have not been able to really focus on my reading like I want to. So hopefully during the second half of this year, my reading experiences will be a lot better. So far, the stressors in my life are getting ironed out, thankfully. So hopefully that will help with, my reading and my enjoyment level of a lot of these books. But yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and jump right into these questions. So the first question is the best book that I have read so far this year. I have 2 books for this. 2 books that really just stand out to me. And if you have been watching my videos here recently, you probably know which 2 books those are. But the first one is The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. This is a adult fantasy. We're just following this thieving group called the Gentlemen Bastards, and we watch as they are trying to get themselves out of some pretty tough situations that they have gotten in. And I really enjoyed this book. I did a buddy read for this one with my friend Tori over at Tori Morrow, so I have her channel linked down below. But I just had a great time with this book. There were a lot of fun moments, there were a lot of sad moments. I really enjoyed the characters. I just end up enjoying everything about this book. So then the other book that I have that I just feel is one of the best of this year is All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby. So I just did a standalone review for this book. I will have that linked down below, but this one is a adult mystery crime thriller, and we're just following this Black sheriff who lives in this small racist town, and he is investigating a school shooting between a former student and a teacher. And while he's doing that investigation, he learns that both of these people might be tied to some missing / murdered children, Black children in the town. So I enjoyed the story. I would say if you think about picking this one up, you should probably check out the content warnings, because this is S.A. Cosby's darkest novel that I have read from him thus far, but I still really enjoyed it, and this one just really worked for me. It's kind of battling out with Razor Blade Tears that this author also wrote that I really enjoyed on which one is my favorite. So yeah, both of these books I really enjoyed. So then the next question is the best sequel that I have read so far this year. And to be honest, I am behind on a lot of sequels that I have wanted to pick up so far this year. So the only one that I can think of is Lost in the Moment and Found by Shawnee McGuire. This is number 8 in the Wayward Children series. And this one is by far my favorite book that I have read in that series. We are following this young girl who is being groomed by someone in her household, and she is whisked off to another place. So if you guys don't know anything about the series, it's a portal fantasy. We follow different characters and the situations that they're dealing with at home, and then they are whisked off to these fantastical places. So I really enjoyed this one. I would say, and I think I said this before in my review for this, but if you have been hesitant to start the Wayward Children series, I would say that you could start with this one because you won't get spoiled for any of the other books in the series. And if you decide that you really do like this book, then I would suggest you check out the other books in the series. But this one by far, like I said, is my favorite. So then the next question is a new release that I have not read yet, but I want to, and that is going to be The Only Ones Left by Riley Sager. So this is a YA adult mystery. And I'm really excited about this one, but also really nervous about it because his release for me last year just did not work, The House Across the Lake, and I was highly disappointed by that book. So I'm hoping this one will be a lot better. I have seen some reviews for it and people's ratings for it, and people have been really enjoying this book. And I've even heard a couple people say that they feel like Riley Sager is back. So I'm hoping that I feel the same way. So then the next question is my most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I only have one, and that is Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Ciennes. This is the same author that wrote The Hacienda, which I absolutely loved last year. So I was really excited to see that she was coming out with this one. And this is a adult horror with some historical elements to it. And I don't really know much about it because I didn't really look into the synopsis all that much. I just saw her name, this book cover, and I just knew that I could not wait to read it. The next question is my biggest disappointment so far this year, and that unfortunately will have to be How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. So this is a adult horror novel, and it was supposed to come out last year, but it got pushed back to the beginning of this year. But I was so excited for it, and then I was highly disappointed by it as well. So we're following this sister and brother as they move back to their parents' home after their parents have died, and they are trying to get it fixed up to sale, and some creepy, scary things start to happen in this house. I did not care for this. The brother and the sister drove me up a wall because of how much they argued. At a certain point, the horror in this just kind of got a little silly, a little too silly for me. And that's usually the thing with Grady Hendrix books. I do feel like they are a little silly, but I can still stand behind them and enjoy them. But for whatever reason, this one just did not work for me. And so, yeah, it was just a big disappointment. So then the next question is my biggest surprise of this year. And I tried hard not to repeat answers, but because, like I told you guys in the beginning, I haven't liked a lot of the things that I've read, there's going to be some repeats. So my biggest surprise of this year is The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. It is a book that I had a feeling that I was going to enjoy, but I had no idea that I was going to enjoy it this much and have this book stick with me the way that it has and have me really anticipating the next book in the series. But yeah, I just really enjoyed this one, and I would highly recommend, if you are a fantasy reader and you have not read this book, I would highly recommend that you do. So then the next question is my favorite new author, whether they're a debut or they're just new to me. Again, that goes to Scott Lynch. After reading The Lies of Locke Lamora, I just loved the way that he told the story. It was a little awkward in the beginning because there was like a lot of flashbacks that were interwoven into the story, and it took me a while to get used to how he was telling the story, but I ended up loving it, and I just loved his writing style. So again, I just have to give this to Scott Lynch because I love this book and I can't wait to read the next one. So then the next question is newest fictional crush. I don't usually have a lot of fictional crushes or people in books that I enjoy like that. So unfortunately for this one, I don't have an answer for it. So then the next question is my newest favorite character. Y'all are probably gonna get tired of me, but I'm going back to Scott Lynch because my favorite character in that book was Locke Lamora. I just loved how like smart he was, how cunning he was, how he was able to plan all of these like heist games that they were doing. I just loved reading about him, and I felt for him throughout this book. And even though technically they're not good characters, these are like morally gray, they're stealing for a living, I still stood behind everything that he was doing. So I loved Locke Lamora in that book. So then the next question we have is a book that made me cry. I've said this a lot. I do not cry when reading books. I have had books that have almost gotten a tear out of me, but still a tear has not fallen from these eyes while reading a book. And the only one that I can say that had pulled a lot of emotion from me, this is going to be a repeat, but that is Lost in the Moment and Found by Shauna McGuire. So reading about the main character in this book, I really felt so sad for her, and I felt really bad for her because of the situation that she had at her home. I really liked the care that Shauna McGuire put in when she was telling the story, because she wasn't very graphic. She didn't go into a lot of details with what this girl was going through in her home, but you got the gist of it. And I really appreciated that in this story. So yeah, Lost in the Moment and Found just really tugged at my heartstrings. So then the next one we have is a book that made me happy, and that is going to be The Last Word by Taylor Adams. So this is a adult thriller mystery, and with the content of this book, it shouldn't necessarily make me happy, but I had a fantastic time reading this story. So we're following this woman who is secluded at this beach house that she is house sitting for, and she ends up reading a terrible book. She gives the book a 1-star rating. The author ends up reaching out to her, wanting her to take it down. She says no, and then all of a sudden she is being stalked at this home. I had a great time with this book. I liked the characters. I liked, again, how like silly this was and how some of it just sounded so ridiculous reading it, but I just enjoyed it so much. But even aside from like the silliness in this book, I felt like we had those moments that were also serious, and it really made me feel for the main character, because there is a reason why she is alone at this beach house, and you slowly learn that throughout the story. So I really enjoyed this. I said this in my review for this. If you are hesitant to pick this up, I would highly suggest it. I have read another book by this author called No Exit, which I think is one of their most popular books, but I enjoyed The Last Word way more than I did No Exit, and this book is something that is definitely going to stick with me, so I highly recommend it. Then the next one is favorite book to film adaptation that I've seen this year, and I had to think so hard, but I have not seen new book to film adaptations this year, at least none that I can remember or it has stuck out. So I, again, don't have an answer for this one. So the next question is my favorite video that I have made so far this year. That one is going to be my fandom video. I will have that one linked, but this is the one where I dressed up like Harry, a character from Harry Potter, and I was talking about how I miss like those really popular fandoms where the books and the movies were coming out at the same time. So if you have not checked out that video, you should, because I was hot the entire time filming that, and I was dressed up, something that you guys probably won't see for a long time. But I really enjoyed the conversation that I had in that video. So if you have not seen it, I would suggest you check that one out. So then the next question we have is the most beautiful book I have bought this year or received. So I haven't really been purchasing a lot of special editions. I don't necessarily purchase a lot of special editions. So the only one that I can just think of right off top that is the most beautiful that I've bought is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. And part of the reason why I bought this is because of how beautiful the book is. So it has sprayed edges with dragons on the side, because this is a YA fantasy that deals with dragons. And then the inside, I just really liked the map, like this. I just thought all of this was stunning. So I can't say whether or not the book is actually good or not, because I have not read it yet, but at least the outside of it is stunning. So then the last question that I have is, what books am I trying to read by the end of the year? I'm gonna say all of them. I'm so behind on what I have said that I wanted to read, but for sure, I really want to make sure that I finish the last book that is out in the Rhaeria Chronicles series. I don't know why it is taking me so long to get to that, but I really want to read that last book. Then I want to finish up the Poppy War series, because I read the first book last year and I thought the Poppy War was fine, but I still want to read the next 2 books in that series. So at some point, hopefully I can at least get to that second book. And then I wanted to hopefully finish the Drowning Empire series. So the first book in that is The Bone Shard Daughter, which I loved last year, and I ended up giving that one a 5-star, but I just have not made it to that second book yet. And then the third book was released a couple of months ago. So those are my like priority series. And then, like I said, everything else. So that is all that I actually have for you guys. Hopefully the second part of my reading year goes a lot better than the first part, and I hope that for everyone else. So with that being said, I will see you guys next time. Bye.